Investigates brought you multiple stories of crooks taking mail from these blue mailboxes, stealing the checks inside, and then depositing them into their own accounts. Tonight, the Postal Inspection Service says it's cracking down on a rise in postal crime, but it's still happening. So are they doing enough?
Yeah, that seems like a way.
Ronald and Linda Black are just two of the many victims of check theft here in Northwest Ohio.
They say I was minus $12. They had cleaned out my checking account.
There's also Jim Gray.
People have keys to those boxes out there, and they've been stealing, letters and checks.
They're among the dozens of cases police are investigating locally and by the thousands across the country.
Either whiting out checks and then cashing them, or taking the banking information and then creating their own checks.
11 Investigates requested police reports from the largest cities in Lucas and Wood counties. We asked for reports of checks stolen from blue mailboxes since the first of this year. Here's what we found. 7 reports from Oregon, 3 from Sylvania Township, and 3 from Sylvania. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that doesn't mean all the victims reported the thefts, and it may not truly represent all of the problem.
It's not only checks, they're taking your personal information and creating the temporary paper driver's licenses that you get before the BMV sends you your permanent one in the mail. They're creating those with people's information, just going right into banks and withdrawing money from people's accounts.
A Sylvania Township detective told me he's investigated more like 50 to 60 stolen checks and says the same box on Bancroft Street where the Blacks had their checks stolen is a problem spot where a tremendous amount of checks have been stolen. The problem seems to have started in our area back in 2022.
Police are looking for a brazen robber who held up a postal worker in broad
when we
daylight.
reported on 2 cases of mail carriers being robbed, one in North Toledo and one in West Toledo. They weren't robbed for money. They were robbed for their keys to these boxes.
Every postal employee deserves to walk in safety.
The problem's become so widespread, the Postal Inspection Service launched what it calls Project Safe Delivery back in May, which it says is targeting entire networks, from the robbery of employees to those that alter and then cash the checks. It says the project resulted in hundreds of arrests.
We have arrested more than 600 individuals since May, including 109 individuals for robberies and more than 530 arrests for mail theft.
The Inspection Service says it's in the process of replacing old, less secure locks with new electronic locks, 42,500 of them across the nation, as well as new boxes.
Since May, we have installed more than 10,000 of these high security blue boxes in high security risk areas.
The Inspection Service would not comment on where those areas are in Northwest Ohio. When 11 Investigates asked why customers are allowed to continue unknowingly depositing mail in compromised boxes,
They're stealing mail out of these boxes.
we were told this.
We don't want to tip the thieves off by identifying boxes. What we want to do is secure the boxes.
Now, the worst locations in the area, the blue box at the Oregon Post Office on Dustin Road and the Sylvania Township Post Office on Bancroft Street. When I looked at check thefts and fraud outside of the blue mailboxes, the Oregon Police Department tells me it's investigating 22 cases since August. That could include thefts from home mailboxes or other stolen checks. The sergeant told me not to leave mail in your home boxes for too long either, because crooks know checks could be inside when that red flag goes up.